Welcome back. Episode 5.
We can't restart.
Yes, you definitely can. You click the turn off, delete the video, and restart.
Nope, we're going. Too late.
All right. Welcome back.
Tommy sucks at his job.
Episode 5. Four Corners Podcast. Today, me, Cooper Dry, our other co-hosts, Brody McCurdy, Zane Boying, and Thomas Wensauer.
Hi.
And today we're going to start off with some basketball. We're going to start with Zane in the Summer League.
Yes, the Summer League. You guys watching the Summer League so far?
Yeah, a couple games.
I gotta say, I think Summer League is probably one of my favorite things to watch because it's just so competitive. You know, you got guys competing for jobs. There's just defense. In the NBA, I think there's no defense being played is kind of overblown. Like, I know Tommy's on that side. He's a big Jordan era guy, right, Tommy? What?
Yeah.
All right,
what am I a
Tommy,
fan of?
I'm not
I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure things out. What am I a fan of?
I said I know you're a big fan of the Jordan era and how you say people don't play defense nowadays.
LeBum.
Well, anyway, so I think that's kind of overblown. I think it's just guys are so good now, but you can just tell it's just at a different level in the Summer League. But for the Pistons, it's just I'm really excited what I've seen so far. I got 2 impact players that I think are really going to affect how our season goes. I got 2 right here, James Wiseman and Ausar Thompson. I'm going to start with James Wiseman, and I'm going to say some stats, and this is both stats from the players I'm going to read are going to be from the Pistons versus Rockets game, so that's where I'm going with. James Wiseman put up 17 points with 10 rebounds on 41% from the field. I hope his efficiency would go up a little bit. 41% is kind of I want to see that teetering around 45 to 50, especially because he's a big man. You know, he's not shooting a ton of outside shots. But James Wiseman's due for a breakout year this season. Drafted with the Warriors, he was supposed to be more of a Kayvon Looney guy, supposed to just play defense and rebound and kick it back out to Steph. But that's not what he is. He's a scorer. He's got great three-point shooting ability. There's still more to come. He's knocking down some shots this year. He can put the ball on the floor. He can drive to the basket. He's got a not bad perimeter game. He can play defense on the perimeter. Like I said, he could play on the perimeter, put the ball on the floor, go to the basket, draw fouls, make free throws. But also what I think is very underrated about his game is he's a good post-to-post passer. I think we're going to see that Duren to Wiseman connection this year in the starting lineup, and I think they're going to finally get that chemistry we've all been hoping to see, and they're going to be passing between the posts and just getting easy bunnies and dunks all day. You guys got anything to add to that?
If Wiseman's so good, then why don't the Warriors want him?
Well, I just feel like Wiseman, they weren't in the they weren't in the mode to develop a player like the Pistons are. They didn't need a young guy that was a scorer. They wanted more of like I said, a Kayvon Looney guy just to come in and play defense and get rebounds, and that's not really what Wiseman is. And they already had Steph, Clay, Dre, Kuminga was working his way up, and Moses Moody. So I don't think they really had the time to develop Wiseman like they needed to. And I just feel like it wasn't the right fit for them to say.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. And also about the Warriors, they just didn't want to waste any time. He was back and forth in the G League because he was injured so many times. And the Warriors were like, you know what?
Injuries definitely played a role in that, and they didn't want to deal with that too. You're right about that, Cooper.
Yep, just being in win now, and they're just like, you know what? We'll just ship him off somewhere else. Hopefully he balls out there.
And I'm not saying Wiseman's better than Duren or anything. Obviously, we all know what Duren is. He's a beast. I think he had 23 points against there. I mean, he's a monster. He's going to grab rebounds left and right. But Wiseman, I just feel like he could take us to that next level because adding that other 7-foot big that can stretch the floor, and that'll help Duren a lot and help this team. Brody, you got anything else?
How good of a floor stretcher do you think he can be for us?
See, that I don't know. I think him and a lot of people don't like Isaiah Stewart's three-point ability. For some reason, I think he can get it up to about 35%. He shot 33% last year from three. I think if I see him hitting about like, I could see him being maybe like an Al Horford type of 3-point shooter. He's not the best, but he's effective. I could see him be more of a streaky shooter, like I said, like Al Horford. I don't think he's ever going to be like a 3-point shooter to say, but I think he's going to be a 3-point maker, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and Zane, what do you think about the Isaiah Stewart contract extension? I personally am not a huge fan of it.
See, to me, if you just look at the number itself, was it like $64 million for 4 years?
Yeah, it was 4 years, $64 million.
It looks big, but honestly, I don't mind the contract as much because the cap space is going to keep increasing by like $10 million per year. So by the end of his contract, he's going to be not really that high a paid player. And right now, he's only the 95th highest paid player in the league right now. And if you ask me if Isaiah Stewart's one of the top 100 players in the NBA, I would say yes, he is. So I don't really mind the contract as much as others do. And I think he'll be a great role player coming off the bench. I don't think he is necessarily a starter, but I think he could be that Grant Williams type player, a little spark plug off the bench. He can guard like any position except maybe a guard, but he can guard 3 through 5. He is very versatile. He could stretch the floor. He could play big. He can play in the post. Plays very good defense. So I really like Isaiah Stewart, and he's the heart and soul of the team. So I'd like to keep him. I like the contract.
Yeah, he definitely won the hearts of Detroit after he ran after LeBron. That's for sure.
Yep, he's a legend in Detroit from that. He'll never have to buy another beer ever again in Detroit.
And what did you expect Duren and Ivey to play in the summer league? Because like at the end of the year, they were our two best players besides Boyd.
Well, I did because I think watching the Pistons, you can see they're good, but they haven't played with each other a lot. So I did expect them to play in the summer league. They need to build more chemistry, and I think they made the right decision to play. And especially with adding Ausar Thompson and James Wiseman got added in the middle of the season. So I think it was a good decision to let them play in the summer league.
And last question about the Pistons. Are you impressed with Marcus Sasser? I was pretty impressed the first game, but the second game it was eh.
See, I'm impressed with Marcus Sasser, but it's going to be something that you can't just look at the box score of. I just think this kid's a basketball player. I say kid, and he's like 25 years old, but I just think he's a basketball player. I really he's got to watch the game. I can't explain it, but he's just a basketball player. He's got great basketball instincts, like his off-ball defending I really like. And he just, in the NFL, someone just has like a nose for the football. I feel like it's kind of like him with his off-ball defense. He's always in the right places to play help. He gets a lot of tips on just, bad passes and stuff like that. Gets a lot of steals. So I really like his basketball instincts. And his 3-point shooting is definitely going to help out this team coming off the bench.
Alrighty.
If you guys have any more questions about James Wiseman, I will move on to Ausar Thompson. Any more questions?
I have a statement about Sasser. You can definitely tell he's coached by Kelvin Sampson at Houston because how disciplined he is when it comes to playing passing lanes and playing off-ball defense, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it's just like again, you just can't really. You can't see it just by looking at the box score. You got to watch the game and just see how active he is. And his hands are always in passing lanes. He's always tipping passes. He just affects the game in ways that don't show up in the box score. But I'm going to move on to Ausar Thompson. And again, this kid is just a basketball player. He's a stat sheet stuffer. He's a great all-around basketball player. He had 12 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, with adding 3 steals against the Rockets with 46% shooting. I think if the Pistons are going to make a playoff spot, not play in, if they're going to make a playoff spot, it's going to be because of Ausar Thompson. Because his defense, I didn't know how good he was coming from overtime elite, guarding 16, 17-year-old kids. But he's legit. He could guard he can guard the wing. He can guard on ball defense. He could guard the guard. He's a great on ball defender, and his length he can affect shots in ways other people can't. He has crazy length. Like again with Wiseman, I think he's more of a capable 3-point maker. I don't know if he'll ever be a deadly 3-point shooter like we see like with maybe like a Joe Harris or Bojan is. Obviously, those are 3-point shooters, but I think he can be really effective out there. Like Overtime Elite, he got his 3-point shooting percentage up to 39% in the playoffs. I hope he can stick around 35 to 37% percentage up to 39% in the playoffs. This kid, I don't know if you guys noticed this too as much as I did, but his court vision and his passing was just it was great. He had a nice pass to Wiseman. He had a nice pass to a cutting Ivy for an easy dunk. I really like this kid's court vision. He's going to rack up a lot of assists, especially when he penetrates to the rim. And his basketball instincts, especially when it comes to defending, he's another one that gets his hands in passing lanes, but his rebounding, I think, is very underappreciated. He's a very underrated rebounder. And a stat that doesn't show up in the stat sheet again is like a tipped pass that leads, or a tipped rebound that. What I mean? Like a rebound goes up and he just taps it out, and it just seems like it goes in one of our players' hands.
Zane,
yes?
I got a question in chat from John, who's asking how high do you think his ceiling is?
I think if he was with another team, it would be higher, but we just have so many guys here. I don't think he has a very high scoring ceiling as of right now because we got scorers like Ivy and Cade, and you throw in Duren in there. But I think his defense it raises his ceiling a bunch. So I think he's definitely going to be a starter in the future, and I don't really know how much farther he can go from just being a solid starter. In my opinion, I just think he's just going to be one of those guys that'll get 15 points, maybe 8 rebounds a game with throw in like 7-6 assists. So, but that's a very solid player, and you need players like that to win on your team. And that was my last point here.
That helps win a championship.
I'm sorry, Brody.
So you're saying he can become like a good piece on a starting lineup that can help win a championship, similar to like Aaron Gordon was this year?
Yes, sir, 100%. 100%. Like great defender, he can score a little bit, and his court vision, he'll be a vital piece if this team if we win an NBA championship. I just don't think he could start this year, especially over Bojan, because Bojan's shooting ability will help Cade out a little bit. That's why I think he needs to get his 3-point shooting up a little bit and improve in that category. But he's definitely going to be a starter in the future. And if we dump Bojan in the middle of the season, he's going to fill in that starting role, and he's going to do a great job.
Do you want us to dump Bojan in the start or the middle of the season?
If we are going to be a play-in team, don't want that because he's a veteran piece and you can't find a lot of guys in the NBA that can shoot the ball like him. But if we're on that the play-in, did I say playoff first? I meant if we're going to be in the playoffs, I don't want to dump him. But if we're going to be a play-in team, I'd lean towards dumping him to get a pick or another young player. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Who's next for the segments?
I'll be up. Okay, so last night was the Home Run Derby, and last night was the MLB All-Star Game, and the All-Star Game. It was an all right game. It was a snooze fest.
Well, I don't know. It just came down to the wire.
It did. Everyone was going to blow it. It would have been nice to see a Craig Kimbrell disaster class. Wanted Julio Rodriguez to hit a walk-off home run.
How amazing would that have been if Julio Rodriguez in his home park would have just hit a walk-off nuke to win it?
It would have been.
NL was in like a 9-game losing streak. against
last
the
time
AL.
the
I
NL won
was
the
gonna get
All-Star
to
game, the
that.
Tigers made the World Series.
I'm sorry.
Last time the NL won an All-Star game, the Tigers made the World Series.
That is true.
That is insane. That's crazy to think
What do you think about Lorenzen coming in there and shoving for an inning? That was the best part of the day.
You know, I doubted Lorenzen, but he looked pretty good. I have to give it to him. He looked pretty good.
How often will that happen again?
I don't know. He gets overhated though. He's got some good stuff. But for defense on the field, you know what I mean? I feel like it just
Yeah.
gave him confidence. Like if anyone puts it in play, the play's getting made. Unless it's Vladdy Guerrero and
He won the Gold Glove last year, actually.
That's true, but on an underhand flip and he throws it 50 feet into the stands.
Yeah,
I was like,
he's still
all right,
fat.
man.
And then Vladdy had another error.
Yeah, that scoop, but that was a tough
Yeah.
scoop. I'm not gonna go at him. If you ever played first base and had to scoop a ball, that's tough.
Did they call that an error?
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
they did.
Was it on the throwing error or was it on Vladdy?
Yeah. It was on the throw.
Okay. See that makes more sense then. But yeah, I was proud of Lorenzen. I like to see it. That was the best part of the game. For
Him in that
us Tigers fans.
him in that American League All-Star jersey, his muscles were looking jacked.
Oh, dude, he was looking huge, and he still
So we had
94.
And so we had to give us some Tigers love, of course. So shout out to Lorenzen on having a good inning. And so the game was 3-2. There was a good ending. Kimbrel ended up striking out Jose Ramirez. Hopefully that leads the start to a Guardians disaster pass. The Tigers get in the playoffs and win the worst division in baseball. But I would like to recap the home run derby in just my 3 favorite moments. So my favorite moment had to be Adley Rutschman going switch hitting.
And his
And
dad was pitching too. That was good to see.
Yep, and his dad was pitching. It's always great when the dad and player are together in the home run derby. Adley Rutschman, he was batting left-handed first for his first 3 minutes, and he hit 21 home runs out of like 30 contact balls, which is really good. Then all of a sudden, he just switch hits, and hits 6 for 7 home runs from the right side. Pretty remarkable. I actually predicted him to beat Luis Robert Jr. Sadly, that didn't work out, but Adley Rutschman definitely switch hitting made the derby entertaining.
Cooper, could I say something for a second?
Yeah.
Did you notice how slow Rutschman's dad was pitching? Like
Yeah.
he would have won that if his dad wasn't pitching at the pace of a snail. You know what I mean? And I feel like the pitchers had much to do with the outcome of that home run derby. Like Pete Alonso's pitcher was just painting the outside corner.
Yeah,
Like,
Pete
I
Alonso's
think
pitcher
he
was
thought it
trying
was
to
a tryout.
strike him out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he thought it was a tryout. I don't know what he was doing. He was painting the black. I have no idea. And Pete Alonso was like, come on. Like, he was so disappointed in this pitcher. And Julio Rodriguez's pitcher, he was the best one by far.
100%. And that is my second favorite moment of the derby.
Before we go to
Julio.
that, can we talk about Adley Rutschman's sister?
Yeah,
That was my favorite moment of the derby.
Yeah, shout out to the ESPN cameraman for putting her on the screen the whole time when he was switch hitting and hitting home runs.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they did a great deed. # we love ESPN for their cameraman.
I was about to say I didn't watch the home run derby. When I saw the highlights, that's one of the big highlights I saw.
Yeah, boy Tom. And so Zane was hinting at my second favorite home run derby moment. Is by far Julio Rodriguez's home run in the first round. He hit 41 home runs, which that's a home run derby round record, and it was just special. And the thing is, Zane makes a great point was the pitchers. The pitchers with the new era of the home run derby, the pitchers have all really the pressure because it's 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes, and no matter what happens in those 3 minutes, like you're gonna be done.
Right.
And
It's not. It used to be 10 outs, so you
yeah,
could take
the
as many
old
pitches as you
format,
want.
you can just watch all the balls go down the middle and just not swing until you feel like you're gonna hit a home run.
Right.
But-
And now, but you can't take as many pitches as you want anymore because it's time. And I actually like that. It's a
Yeah.
strategy. And I
It
feel
make-
like the formatting was stupid. Why does Julio Rodriguez hit 41 home runs and then he goes on the next round and has to hit first? That's what
Right.
got him eliminated. He was gassed. Like if
Right.
you
The
if you
seedings-
hit the most home runs, like you should not have hit first in the next round. I don't understand it. That's what got Julio eliminated.
I think it
I
worked
would-
perfectly because Cooper predicted the final, right?
No, that's
Yeah,
true. Hats off to Cooper.
For my prediction, it was nice, but I would agree. I feel like the seedings should just work for the first round, and then
Right.
whoever hits more home runs should have the choice to go
Should go-
first or
yeah.
second.
100%. It just makes sense.
And then,
By the
but
way,
just
Cooper.
the 41 at Seattle. I mean, the first home run, like the first pitch, he just knocked it, and then the pitcher again for Julio Rodriguez put it the same spot for him, and so that's what made Julio Rodriguez hit like 41 out of like 48 out. Like every time Julio Rodriguez made contact with the ball, it was going out of the park.
If we
And
talk
then-
about baseball more on this podcast, you will find out very quickly how much Cooper loves Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah. And it's not just because of his baseball playing.
It's because of his eyes. He talks about him like
Julio
he's like
Rodriguez
gay
has
fantasy.
Julio Rodriguez has the most beautiful eyes in the MLB, and no one. And if someone thinks otherwise, I will fight them to the death.
Tatis is better.
Damn.
Okay, he might be a better baseball player, but he doesn't have better eyes than Julio Rodriguez.
Catch me talking about a dude's eyes like that is just crazy.
His
We,
eyes are
if we talk about more baseball in this podcast, you will find out very quickly how much Brody likes Fernando Tatis.
For his on the field ability.
No, but Julio Rodriguez is a good player. I do like him. Obviously, his eyes are beautiful, but and of course, him just beating Pete Alonso. Pete
Again.
Alonso, again. As you guys saw and heard in last episode, I absolutely hate Pete Alonso, and I hate that he only cares about the home run derby. Like he doesn't care about the Mets winning; he just wants to win the home run derby.
He
And
does
just
take us so serious for no reason.
We're gonna act like he's not like the best hitter on the Mets, but
no, we hate Pete
He's the most.
Alonso. I
He's
don't
the most.
care.
He's the most. He's not the best hitter, but he's the most valuable hitter. If that makes sense.
they're the
Yeah.
best.
Like the amount of runs he contributes to makes him the most valuable hitter.
Well, who do you think's better than him?
Like as like a more consistent hitter, probably Lindor, but I don't even know if Lindor is the best hitter on that team.
The Mets just suck. Braves wipe. Who cares?
I thought I thought you were gonna say Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I don't know. Lindor just he can when he turns it on, he turns it on. But it's probably Nimmo for the stretch.
We'll see. I think it's Pete, but you know.
No, I'm not like disagreeing with you. I'm just saying he's probably the most valuable hitter. I wouldn't foresay him being the best hitter, if that makes sense, because he strikes out too much, but he does hit a lot of home runs and he contributes to a lot of RBIs, and you can't take that away from the guy.
Yeah, I just do know that he leads the team in home runs and RBIs.
Oh yeah, he's dude's clutch and he hits a lot of home runs and tallies up a lot of RBIs.
But Julio Rodriguez is Pete Alonso's kryptonite, and Pete Alonso will never beat Julio Rodriguez in the home run derby. And watching Pete Alonso just get really frustrated was just great, especially when the Seattle fans would cheer when Pete Alonso would hit a line drive into the right into the gap, which that doesn't matter in the home run derby. So
Cooper also hates fat people, so he really doesn't like Pete Alonso.
Anybody
Yeah.
see Vladdy drill that kid in the face?
Yeah, I was just about.
I was waiting. I was waiting for it. I was literally seconds away from bringing that up. I was waiting for a pause when you guys were talking about that.
Yeah,
That might have been the funniest thing I've ever seen.
dude,
Scammer
kid
gets
just-
scammed.
dude, that, and that's why we shouldn't have little kids just trying to catch line drives from MLB players.
Yeah, it was like 110 off the bat.
You know
Yeah.
that one TikTok? It's like this kid's gonna become a professional athlete one day, and then he catches a ball and he misses it and hits him right in the face.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That's exactly what happened.
That was that kid, but like grown up.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And Vladdy leads into my final favorite moment of the Derby, as I predicted the championship round and the actual champion. I expected a Rosarena to put on a show, and that he did. He hit, 25 in the first round? And then he obviously hit 35 in the second round. And then when it came down to the championship round, Vladdy had to go back to back. I mean, he only had to hit 21 home runs to beat Julio Rodriguez, because Julio Rodriguez only hit 20.
He ran out
Which
of
he did
gas.
that. Yeah, which he did that with ease. And so he had to bat next because he was the lower seed. So he went back to back, and I was expecting him to die out because we saw in the first round that Vladdy is still not in home run derby shape whatsoever. But he just kept cranking. He got to 25. I wanted him to get to like 27, 28 for comfort, because he was at I'd have to say he was at like 22 at the final round of 2. So I wanted him to hit 6 in a minute. He ended up getting 25, and I knew a Rosarena would have gave a shot. And the thing I think what sold a Rosarena again was the pitcher. A Rosarena, he had like 15 home runs with like a minute left, and then raked off like 6 because like the pitcher kept firing, just kept no matter what happened with the ball. But like in the last 30 seconds, because a Rosarena didn't get the 440 bonus, he only just got the T-Mobile 30-second bonus. The pitcher just kept throwing it way too fast. So like a Rosarena would swing, and then all of a sudden just have to reload quickly, and then that's why I only think he got two home runs off rather than the 4 to tie or 5 to win. But I'm not complaining. I predicted a Vladdy win. I'm glad Vladdy won, and he got his revenge.
Can we talk about how the Rays have 6 people on their team with more home runs than our home run leader?
Yeah, it's comforting, isn't it?
That's why they have the second best record in baseball.
And a lot of them are players like the casual fans never even heard of.
Oh yeah.
Like
A lot of them aren't even
That's
home
right.
run hitters. I mean,
Can we make a petition to get Randy Arozarena a New Jersey number? The number 56 is just gross.
yeah, that is weird.
Put him in 12 or something.
Hey, but it is unique though. That could be his number.
It could be.
Whenever you think of 56, you think of him.
That is true.
mean or left the guard for the Harper Creek Beavers. Nothing to 56, but
I hope that Arozarena from now on crosses his arms every time he hits a home run. He just steps on the plate, looks for the camera, and just crosses his arms. And then the next day, he robs Ronald Acuna Jr. in the leadoff for the All-Star game, which hurt my soul a little bit. But it's okay. It's whatever. Really only cared about the home run derby because
Cooper,
home run
who'd you want to
derby-
win? Did you want AL or NL to win?
I did want the AL to win, but
Okay.
I did want the AL to win. I just wanted the Braves to perform. And that one play that Austin Riley had to Matt Olson was pretty cool.
That
But
was cool.
other than that, the Braves didn't do anything. So
Hello, Brody?
what?
Okay, I just dragged you in a separate call just to test your mic. Alright.
but shout out to the AL. Finally no. Who
NL.
Yeah, shout out to the NL. I mean, they broke the streak, but I did want the AL to win. But again, I just wanted to highlight the Home Run Derby because Home Run Derby is the All-Star Saturday for you NBA fans. Home Run Derby is All-Star Saturday. That is more entertaining than the actual game. Because really, when you think about the All-Star game in basketball, all you really want to see is, who's going to win the three-point contest? Oh, who's going to perform well in the skills showdown? Who's going to win the dunk contest?
Dunk contest sucks.
Well, yeah, because
now
we've
it
done
sucks.
everything humanly possible.
Yeah,
It peaked in 2016. Let's be honest.
Aaron Gordon was robbed.
Yeah, he was robbed twice, but he got the ring. So before anyone,
Yeah, fuck Zach LaVine.
and I mean Mac McClung showed out this year a little bit, but it still wasn't anything special. But those are my favorite moments from the Derby. Let's go into Brody and see what he has to say about the second half of the MLB season coming up.
I was doing the MLB draft, but it's all good.
I want to hear your thoughts on this, actually, Brody. I'm really curious to what you think.
So
Because I have a thing. I bet it's going to be different than what I think.
So if you look at Max Clark as an individual player, like he was probably like a top 5, 6, 7 prospect in the draft, and we took him at 3. So it's really not like a reach. And we needed an outfielder, and he's somebody that's going to come and he's going to hit. He might not. The issue is he doesn't have the biggest pop, but he's going to come and he's got bat to ball skills. He's going to get on base and he can swipe some bags and play good defense. The issue is he doesn't fit the timeline super well. And
exactly. That's my huge thing on the pick.
And I
Dude,
think
that was my big thing.
You miss out on the surefire. You know what's coming with Wyatt Langford, and he fits the timeline better.
100%.
And he brings. We need guys that can hit, but we also need guys that can go yard, and Langford brings that. You guys
need Torkelson and Green and Colt Keith and all these guys need help now. We can't wait 5 years for this kid to make it to the AAA, and then we can call him up.
Right.
And then even Riley Green took 2.5 years, and then everybody said we rushed him.
Right.
So he really should have taken 3.5 years. Are we really trying to wait?
3.5, maybe 4. Yeah.
And the draft's in June, so 4 years pretty much? Because 3.5 years, the season will be over. So he's not going to come up for 4 years. I'm going to be out of college, living a normal, real life, and he's going to be finally make the majors.
Right. And how many times have we been burned by high school draft picks? You know what I mean? I know Riley Green was a high school draft pick. Wyatt Langford was a great bat playing in the SEC. He hit 53 home runs in 2 years, and you knew what he was. And I just didn't understand the Max Clark pick, to be honest.
You come into the draft, and you're like 1, 2, 3, Langford, Skeens, Cruz. We get one of them, we win. And you don't get your choice, but you don't have to pay them nearly as much because you have the third instead of the first or second.
I can't believe whoever was running the draft had Langford as their number 1 prospect. I can't believe that.
I don't think they had him as the number 1 prospect.
No, they did. It was
they did. They had Skeens as 2 and Cruz as 3, which made no sense to me.
And I would have been all right, if we get Dylan Cruz, okay.
I would have rather had Cruz than anybody.
Oh, 100%. He was the best player.
But we ended up with superstar Max Clark, who I know a little bit too much about. Cooper and I do because of,
I know. I know what you guys are talking about, too.
Oh, yeah. That's just not a big fan of that guy based off some of the things that I've heard. As a person, he's a great baseball player, obviously.
Yeah, it might have some locker room issues.
His off the field his off the field issues might come into play, but that's okay.
We're just joking. We're not joking, but he's probably a good guy.
I will say straight up, I hate this pick. It's just a Detroit disaster class once again.
You can't. Scott Harris had an identity in this draft, though. He went after.
I do respect that.
Yeah, he went after speedy guys, and I kind of understand that can hit the ball. I kind of understand what he was doing. I don't understand. You couldn't make one exception for maybe the best bat in college baseball last year.
The best bat, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand, but I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Cooper.
No, you're good. It'd just be a hate speech. I can't stand this dude. If this dude isn't the next Mike Trout, we suck. And I expect nothing from this dude. I really don't.
You also
He
can't be
played-
like a high-end MLB prospect and be like super talented and be ugly.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's be honest too. This kid's coming out of Indiana.
Yeah, exactly.
Like-
What is relevant in Indiana besides the Indiana Hoosiers? And they
He's
aren't even
not-
relevant anymore.
He's not coming out of some baseball powerhouse like Florida, where Riley Green came out of, where they play year round and all this stuff. I mean, he plays year round, but you know what I mean. Like the
He just doesn't
competition
play the
level.
elite level competition.
Yes, and I just like don't. I'm so,
I don't like it.
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't like it at all.
At all.
So I'm only gonna recap a couple picks because
I do like our second pick though. I think our second pick was a steal.
So at the 77th or the 37th overall pick, we took shortstop Kevin McGonigal. And this is another prep guy, and this is something I'll talk about later. But the Tigers took a lot of prep guys this year, which was kind of interesting to see Scott Harris put his identity on our draft. But he was ranked as the 19th best prospect by Fangraphs, and Fangraphs is something I value very heavily. And when you get a guy like that at 37, great value. And this
Yeah, I
guy's
love
another
this pick.
guy that straight up just has an advanced hit tool.
Yeah.
There's not much, like, he's just a guy that's going to come up to the leagues. He's going to play quality defense, is what Fangraphs has him, is going to have quality defense, and he's got an advanced hit tool. He's
Yeah,
never
this
going to be your
kid- this
five-tool
kid's a shortstop.
superstar, but he can be a quality player.
He's not like Colt Keith, where you really don't know what his position is, but he can hit. This kid's a shortstop.
Do you think it'll be nice to have a shortstop that can actually put the ball in play?
Oh, yeah, not swing at pitches 50 feet off the plate.
Yeah, that'd
That
be
would
great.
be nice. Javi Baez should be counting his days. I'm just saying.
Cooper, do you have any thoughts on this pick?
It was great. It was definitely a rebound, but first pick still boils my blood.
Cooper's going through it right now.
I am. It was, dude. I wanted Wyatt Langford or Dylan
So
Cruz so bad.
You have
And when-
no idea. Like my face when I would
And when
realize
I
we were going to
heard-
get Wyatt Langford.
Yeah, like when I heard Robert frickin' Manfred say the Detroit Tigers select Max Clark, should have got booed even more than he already did. Because what the heck, Detroit? That's all I gotta say. But it was a good rebound pick, I will say.
Yeah, when I saw that at my break on work, I almost just launched my phone across the restaurant.
You almost quit your job right then and there.
I should have. But with their second round pick, they drafted a Forrest Gump with glasses, Max Anderson.
Hey, chill out, man. What the
What?
Nebraska? Chill out,
Yeah.
bro.
From Nebraska, second baseman.
Nebraska guy.
This is as a guy who, I mean, if you look at a picture of him, you can tell he's not very fast, and that shows up in a scouting report. But he has a relatively high hit grade, and he's got a decent power grade, and that's just kind of what he's going to be. Another guy that has bat to ball skills. He was ranked by MLB Pipeline as the 91st best prospect, which, you know, when we take him in the second round, it could be a little bit of a reach, but I'm not too worried about it. It is the MLB draft. It's not as big of a value thing as like the NFL or NBA draft.
Except when you draft Max Clark over Wyatt Langford.
I think this guy could be like a Tom Kennedy guy. You know, you come in, he could be like a solid, you know, second baseman or whatever you want to put him. He'd be an okay bat, but he will be a AAA menace. I swear.
Yeah, when it comes to spring training, you aren't going to want to see this guy at the plate.
No, exactly. 100%. Like Tom Kennedy. You do not want to see Tom Kennedy lined up across from you in preseason. You don't want to see him.
Yeah, you know, but at least you see Scott Harris have an identity with the draft. That's the one.
I feel
that's
like
the
you
one
didn't like
positive.
that analysis, Brody.
I liked it. I liked it.
No, I just feel like you didn't like what I said.
We can talk about that off the podcast, but I genuinely
Okay.
liked it. And then with our third selection, we took Paul Wilson, and this guy is another prep pitcher. Not another prep pitcher, but another prep guy. So 3 of our first 4 guys were all prep guys, which I don't know if we've drafted 3 prep guys in a single draft with Alavila, which is interesting. But this is a guy who's supposed to throw
It's almost like we
mid-90s.
got a manager who knows what he's doing.
It's
almost like we got a manager who knows what he's doing.
Potentially, besides,
And he's not just like,
No, he drafted Max Clark, so he sucks too.
Yeah, but he's got an identity though.
He does. He's gonna stick to his identity.
It seems like Al Avila was just throwing names at a dartboard and hoping whatever stuff he's drafting.
You know, Al Avila said, "Okay, I have a winning team. I'm just gonna make them the worst team ever." So you're right.
But this guy is
I have
another
a winning
guy.
team. I'm gonna send him back 15 years.
Max Anderson and Kevin McGonigal are not these like super high upside guys, but they're like lower or higher floor, lower ceiling kind of guys. And Paul Wilson, he's the same kind of guy. He's the mid-90s fastball, repeatable delivery, and he has a good curveball that hits in the upper 70s. Another kind of guy that's just high floor, low ceiling. Not going to be the best player, but should come up to the MLB and be a quality third, fourth, fifth arm in the rotation, which I think is a very undervalued part of MLB teams. I think that's how you kind of win World Series or at least make the playoffs, as those talented end of the rotation arms.
That would be like number twos on anybody else's.
Yeah, they'd be like number 2 on average teams that don't make the playoffs.
Like the LA Dodgers, how their pitching rotations just nasty.
Yeah, but they're not even the best team in the state of California, so.
The Angels.
I think there's another team down there, a little south of them, but you know.
The Anaheim Angels?
Yeah. But
San Francisco Giants.
Another pick I want to talk about is Carson Rucker. I got 2 more picks that I'm going to highlight. So straight up, I did not know a lot about Carson Rucker when he originally got drafted out of high school. Another prep guy from Tennessee, but I've only seen good things about him on Twitter and other places that I've looked. Like I know he's a third baseman, another infielder. That's 4 infielders that we took, but he was a good value for the time we took him. He was I think projected he was supposed to go way higher than what we took him, is what I'm trying to say. But this is another guy that can hit the ball. And this is one of the guys that apparently is supposed to have some of the higher upside that we have. He's a big guy. He's going to come in at 6'2", 200 pounds, and he's got a little bit of power. So I'm hoping that he can come in and he can maybe be a platoon guy, maybe he could be a starter. But if his upside hits, he could be a high-level starter for us. If not, maybe he can come in and be a platoon guy that can hit bombs every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't think the fact we took a lot of infielders that doesn't bother me at all, because I think it's if you're a pro, you can move to the outfield and think about it this way: it's way harder. It's not as easy to move from the outfield to the infield as it is to move from the infield to the outfield.
Especially with Carson Rucker, he could play DH.
Right.
And like McGonigal's a good enough fielder that he's probably never going to play DH, because why would he? You know.
Right.
So I'm okay with that, and we need infielders, we need outfielders, we need catchers, we need about fucking everything. So,
we need everything.
Yeah.
Except the center fielder. We have a center fielder,
and we have the best first baseman in baseball.
Right. And best college hitter since Mark Teixeira, right?
Oh yeah.
College hitter.
and a top 3 second baseman or shortstop, wherever that legend plays.
We have a TikTok and Instagram short talking about how highly we feel about Javier Baez. Or is it Harvey?
I'm not gonna lie, Brody. Harvey Baez. Brody, I'm not gonna lie to you. Do you know who Justin Henry Malloy is? I know you do, but
yeah, you know I know who JHM is.
So, are you on him?
I'm sorry, Zane. You are cutting out right now.
How high are you on him?
You know, that's a harder one for me to answer, because, well, what do you think his ceiling is? Like, are you asking me what his ceiling is, or like how likely I think he is to reach that?
Like, he's going to be playing with the Tigers next year. How excited are you for him? Like, do you think he's going to do good things? Do you think he's going to be average? Like, what do you think he's going to be?
I think he'll be a league average hitter for us to play the corner outfield spot.
I think I'm kind of excited for him, to be honest. I've been seeing some stuff about him. I've been hearing some noise about him. I'm kind of excited for him to see him next year.
Well, there's 2 things to consider. First of all, a league average hitter for the Tigers is an improvement.
Right.
Yeah.
Second of all, or actually 3 things. He's also 23 in the minors still, and I feel like there's a lot of guys that you draft to 18 that are in the majors by like 21.
Right.
So like he's gonna be 24 in the minors next year. So he definitely is gonna need to get moved up. I feel like.
Yeah. But also we got him from the Braves farm system, so he didn't really go through our farm system.
Yeah,
When we traded for him, so that might be a thing with his age. We didn't get a good look at him before.
yeah, and he got coached up by the Braves, so we know how good they are at developing people.
Right. Do you think Colt Keith will be moved up next year too?
Yes.
I hope so. I don't know why.
I hope so. I don't know. I never know with this organization anymore. I hope
No,
so.
we might trade him, but
I don't know. I like him too.
But we talk about like how high you are on Justin Henry Malloy, but he's not even a top 100 prospect in baseball.
Yeah.
So it's like
I don't know.
It's
I
how
like
bad
him.
the
and
Tigers are.
this is not me like hating on Scott Harris, but this just shows you how bad Al Avila left this team.
Yeah, what he walked into.
Like that is just absolutely pathetic, miserable management from Al Avila. And your team sucks, and you have no prospect pool. Like how the hell does that work? I mean, I think right now we only have 2 players in the top 100. It's Colt Keith and Jace Young. So it's like,
What happened to Jackson Jobe? What happened to that guy? Remember him?
yeah, he actually pitched well. What I heard is he pitched well in his rehab
get
started, but
injured?
he's been hurt. Yeah,
Oh my God.
another arm.
Remember that Bo Burrows guy we drafted over Walker Bueller?
Oh, I know
I
what
don't
you're talking about. Yeah,
Or I don't even know where he is anymore.
was that Bo Brisky? I think, or was it
No, it was Bo Burrows.
Bo Burrows?
And it was like Beau Burrows, and we drafted him over Walker Bueller.
Hey man,
Makes about sense.
we're out here winning World Series. So, but yeah, I'm pretty excited. I hope he can come in. If he's a league average hitter, like that's the thing that's good for him and that's good for us. But Jace Young and Colt Keith and Jobe are the 3 that I'm like super excited for. With it being an Al Avila draft pick, Jackson Jobe's probably gonna suck, but you know how that goes.
Well, we can only hope,
But
never say never.
The last guy I wanted to talk about was Hayden Minton. He's just a pitcher from Missouri State. We took him in the 9th round. Just a fun fact: the last 6'2", 210-pound pitcher we took in the 9th round turned out to be Tariq Skubal. Now, if you look statistically, he wasn't like the best, right? He had a 4 ERA. He did go 6-2, but we know how like wins aren't as much of a pitcher stat as our team stat. But he had some really good fun stats. He was second in the SEC or third in the SEC in strikeouts per 9 innings, and that's a huge stat.
That's a great stat.
And he was second behind, obviously we know who, in strikeout to walk ratio. Like that's what really excites me about Hayden Minton.
That sounds like a solid pick.
That's exactly what I thought, and I think he can come in and work through the system. Obviously, he's out of college, but he can work through the system and maybe one day be that, as we talked about earlier, that back, as we talked about with Paul Wilson, the back of the rotation, holding it down for us. I think that's what he can be. And if you get that in the 9th round, you're jumping for joy.
Yeah, like you said, bringing up Skubal, he's my favorite pitcher on the team. And I don't know where Casey Mize is. I know where he is. He's been hurt. So, and he's having back surgery, so he probably won't play next year. But Skubal is my favorite pitcher on this roster right now. So, if he could be anything like Skubal,
I think that'd be absolutely amazing. And then just something to note: in all the years that we had Al Avila, we did not take 9 prep players in the draft, like all those years combined. And that's how many we took in the 20 rounds of the draft this year. I just think that's something to note. Scott Harris likes his guys. Whether it's a good thing or bad thing, we don't know yet. But he likes his guys, and he's going to go get his guys. So we're going to see how that turns out. But I just think that's something fun to look at. And then we're gonna finish it off by sending you to Tommy for his quick little segment.
Thanks, Brody. So I haven't been talking that much today because we've been talking about baseball and basketball, and I'm more of a football and hockey guy. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. Starting off with the whole situation at Northwestern. I know that's a
Pat Fitzgerald, baby.
yeah, that's a fun topic for everybody. So it was supposedly it was confirmed hazing and then supposedly racist as well. Is that correct?
What I heard, I didn't think. What I heard is that Pat Fitzgerald didn't do anything racist. It was like the system and like who the school accepted was racist. Apparently, that's what I heard. I don't think it had anything to do with Pat Fitzgerald. I think it was the system of who the school accepted.
I will have to say, I've talked to some Division I and Division II football players. As unfortunately, as much as you guys do not want to hear this shit kind of happens like often. And not the
it's just a matter of who talks out about it.
Yeah, not the racist part, but like the hazing part. Yeah, this happens. This is not like a rarity.
I'm sorry, Brody. Everyone was kind of talking at once. Were you talking about the hazing or
not the racist part? The hazing part, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, hazing's everywhere. It's just like you only hear about it like when someone like goes out and says something to the media.
Right. And obviously the hazing situation is awful, but I actually kind of defend Pat Fitzgerald because he says that he listen. I don't defend his program. Obviously, what they went through is like what they're going through is terrible. I mean, when they went 1-11 last season, they didn't even win a game in America. They won a game in Ireland, and now this like Northwestern football is going down real fast. But he said that he had like no idea of what this was going on. And there wasn't any evidence that he did know. So I think I'm just saying he got hoed and like getting fired right away.
Well, you wouldn't want to let him. He shouldn't have a job anyway.
I see what you say there.
Even though they went 1-11, that Ohio State Northwestern game, like they stayed in there just enough for me to have hope that they might pull it out, and that was actually one of the more fun and entertaining games from the season.
Yeah, like 70-mile-per-hour winds.
I don't care. It was still a fun game.
It was a great game to watch.
And
but it was definitely a ground and
close.
pound. It was definitely a ground and pound game, though.
But you got something else?
That's really all I have to say. I don't think he should have went fired right away. I get the suspension, and who is there going to be acting head coach? The defensive coordinator who like came in last year because they're suspecting that he had no idea about it.
I'm not too sure actually.
Okay.
Brody, do you know?
I do not know.
Yeah, but yeah, they're gonna be in a tough spot. So anyone else have anything to add on this before I move on to NHL stuff?
No, I really just kind of sad, but unfortunately it happens all over the place nowadays.
All right. So I have a couple things in the NHL. First being there is supposedly a blockbuster trade going on behind the scenes between the Ottawa Senators and Pittsburgh regarding Erik Karlsson.
Oh.
Yeah, Erik Karlsson supposedly said that Pittsburgh was his top destination, and Ottawa clearly seems to be wanting to restart in their rebuild, with Detroit recently getting DeBrincat and now this coming up. But yeah, with Karlsson having a career year, we saw this when he was with the Sharks, and then he signed that big deal and then did nothing. I'm just worried that this is going to be a repeat. He has a career year, gets moved, and then sucks again, especially at his age. But yeah, this is big for both teams. Brody, I know you're the next big guy in hockey. Have you heard about this, or do you have any thoughts on it?
I'm curious how much Erik Karlsson's going to impact the game. We know how good he was last year, and we know how good he was in his prime. But between his prime and last season, he was not the same Erik Karlsson. So I think there's a chance here the Penguins overpay for Erik Karlsson and he doesn't produce like he did last year. And if that's the case, I hope so because I absolutely despise the Penguins.
I'm in that same boat.
This will probably be the first and one of the only times you'll hear me talk about hockey, besides when the Blackhawks are brought up. But as a casual, shut up. As a casual fan, who actually knows who Erik Karlsson is, and my hatred for the Penguins, I hope this deal falls through. Don't expect Erik Karlsson to do anything anymore, and I hope the Penguins pay him big and over the years we'll be like, oh, what a loose trade for the Penguins.
So it's actually not about paying him. He's actually already on a pretty terrible contract. He still has 4 years left on his contract, but
just like the Penguins lose a big trade, and that would just be fantastic for all of us.
Yeah, he has 4 years and $11.5 million each year left.
Oh yeah, please,
damn,
please Pittsburgh.
I really hope
then Pittsburgh will be left
that
with
on.
three fossils on their team, and then
They're gonna go into shit for the next 10 years, and we're gonna dance.
yeah, we're gonna laugh.
Yeah, I was about to say we will be able to live peacefully.
All right,
As one of my gym teachers told me is that I was a hater, and when it comes to the Penguins, I'm like a full on hater. Like I'm telling you, when they suck, it just makes my life better. And I really go home every day, and when I sit in my bed before night, I wish that they lose. Like I genuinely pray on their downfall.
Jesus. You just embrace it.
You heard folks. Penguins super Brody McCurdy.
Absolutely despise him.
All right, the next thing I wanted to talk about was there's been a lot of the rookies from the recent NHL draft that have signed their entry-level contract, which means they will be in North America and not going back to juniors or college, if that's where they came from, including Adam Fantilli, Leo Carlson, David Reinbacher, and recently Nate Danielson, which is really good for Detroit because that means
Huge.
That means he did very well at rookie minicamp. And for him to be in Grand Rapids or even in Detroit now is really big for them.
I think it just shows how good he is. Like people were talking about, some people weren't big fans of the pick.
Yeah, I heard it was a reach.
You just look.
That's what I was hearing about.
People were saying maybe at 17, and it's just like you look at him, another Eisman guy comes in, he plays super well in the 3-on-3s, and he's already getting an entry-level contract. A little 3-way contract that he can go, or a 3-year contract that he can go back and forth between the minors and the big leagues.
Yeah, definitely a shocker for me. I was one of those guys that weren't a huge fan. I had some other guys I thought were more fitting for us that I thought Yzerman might like to go for. But yeah, I'm just excited to see how he does at team camp now, and does against all the big boys, Mo Seider and Larkin. And just seeing like what he is really about.
Yeah, how do you think he was going to compete against Casper?
I'm very high on Casper. So I think if it comes down to it between those two, I'm hoping that Casper is the guy that gets moved up. But if it's just best man goes, then really I don't see a problem with either of them.
So were you high on that Casper pick when we took him at 8 overall last year?
No, because who was the guy I was high on?
Oh, you wanted Savoy, right?
Savoy, yeah, I was really high on Matthew Savoy. He was really short, but once again, a goal scorer, something we've needed. And then, now we have our goal scorer, so I guess it kind of makes sense. And I guess
unfortunately, Yzerman proved us right again.
Yeah, Yzerman once again knows something no one else does. He knew we were getting DeBrincat and gets another playmaker, so
he's a wizard.
That's just Yzerman doing Yzerman things. But yeah,
wizard.
You just can't doubt him. Like Brody said last podcast, it's the only guy you can really follow blind.
Yep. Straight up.
And I think we see that again with, like we talked about earlier, with the Tigers reaching for Clark. I mean, not really reaching, but going for Clark. And I mean, I guess the other guy was also a position of need. The Florida outfielder, I forget his name.
Wyatt Langford.
Yeah, Langford. I guess he was also a position of need, but going for the stunning pick instead of the proven guy. I guess we'll see how that turns out, but it doesn't tend to work except for when Yzerman does it. And I guess this is just another example of him doing that.
And Danielson looks like it's going to be the same thing, and so is Axel Palinka, even though he was viewed as like the right pick.
Yeah, because we that was a good value pick for us.
Yeah.
And then finally, I just wanted to go over the remaining free agents that I think the Red Wings could go after. There's not a ton of value left on this list, but there's some guys I could see that possibly like returning that were on Detroit, went to a different team and could come back. But the number one, I know Brody won't like this, Patrick Kane still. 34, he's old, but he showed last year in New York that he can still play, and that's my number one at least. And then number two is bring back Pui Suter. He was on Detroit last year and played on the third line for most of the year and sometimes on the second line. He was very solid for us. And then, actually, that's really it. Those are looking at this list. I mean, I had one more in mind, but those are the only two I really want.
So, do you think we will sign Suter?
I want us to, but I don't think we will because of the depth we added. There's just no room for him.
That just means we're getting better.
Yeah. But I do want to bring up, I saw a projected lineup today that had Rasmussen on the second line, and that may shock some Detroit fans, but it really doesn't surprise me because last year he was having a career year before he got hurt, and people don't realize he's like 6'6", 230, and he was scoring at a 60-point pace, and he was filling into that guy we took in the first round at 19th. I think it was 2017. So
And
I'm
he plays
really not
defense.
shocked at that, and I'm actually like kind of hoping for that.
So you want it to go Larkin, Rasmussen, Kopp, Comfer?
No, he'd be playing wing on that second line
So with Kopp,
with Kopp and Raymond,
that would be. I think that's an interesting line.
because he could be that goal scorer on that line.
Yeah, because we know how good Kopp and Raymond are at distributing the puck.
Yep. And then it had Fabry on the third line, which you can't go wrong considering when he came back from injury last year, he looked like the best player on the team. I'm not even gonna lie. Like,
whoa,
he looked like the best player on the team when the week he came back from injury. He was averaging a goal a game and like 1.2 something points per game.
and then for the rest of the season,
He was on and off with injury the rest of the season, but yeah, he looked really good. So
I'm very anti Patty Kane.
I know you are, but there's no denying his skill and what.
I think there kind of is.
I don't think so.
Whoa. Great. He was great, but if man, the Rangers are trying to win a cup now. He fits their timeline perfectly, and if he was so good last year, and who everybody thinks he is, the Rangers would not have let him go in free agency. That's my first big take.
I'm pretty sure he's an RFA.
And second of all,
Patrick Kane's him.
He doesn't fit the Yzer plan. He doesn't fit the rebuild. We're trying to rush it to win for no reason because we're impatient. We gotta wait. We're not trying to win playoff games and get bounced in the second or third round, or even the first round and win a couple games now. We're trying to win Stanley Cups later. We just gotta realize that. That's what I think.
All right. I think that's a pretty good note to end on. For everyone that doesn't know, this was our first virtual podcast. Personally, I wasn't a fan. I don't think we'll be doing this until we all go to college. I think we'll be back in person. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Yeah, I would have to agree. We'll be in person next time.
Hopefully we get a couple sponsors and end up having some mics so we can plug in some mics and it'll make the audio online better for when we go virtual when we're in college.
But yeah, just like usual, leave us any comments, suggestions, any questions. We'll make sure to answer them, and keep a lookout for a highlight video from episodes 3 through 5 that should be up tomorrow. And check out the Instagram and TikTok. Also merch drop. Link will be in the description on that.
Yeah, go check out the merch.
Do we have any orders yet?
Not yet.
All right.
Sad.
That's on.
But go check it out. Any final notes?
Just
No?
tune in next
See you
time.
next episode.
All right, that'll be Sunday at some time. So we'll see you guys then.
All right.